Hear these words. After he had said this, he went on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. When he had come near Bethphage and Bethany, at the place called the Mount of Olives, he sent two of the disciples, saying, "Go into the village ahead of you, and as you enter it, you will find tied there a colt that has never been ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you, 'Why are you untying it?' just say this, 'The Lord needs it.'" So those who were sent departed and found it as he had told them. As they were untying the colt, its owners asked them, "Why are you untying the colt?" And they said, "The Lord needs it." Then they brought it to Jesus, and after throwing their cloaks on the colt, they set Jesus on it. And as he rode along, people kept spreading their cloaks on the road. As he was now approaching the path down from the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of the disciples began to praise God joyfully with a loud voice for all the deeds of power that they had seen, saying, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest heaven." Some of the Pharisees in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, order your disciples to stop." He answered, "I tell you, if these were silent, the stones would shout out." Let us pray. Oh God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be pleasing and acceptable to you, O God, our rock, our strength, and our Redeemer. Amen. This morning, before I begin, I gotta say a shout out to Adam Zimmerman. He gave me a cool bracelet this morning, and on it says the word peace. He knows I like the word peace. And that is a good reminder today that the Prince of Peace came into town riding on a donkey. He was about peace, wasn't he? And so thank you, Adam, for my bracelet. I'm wearing it with pride today. So we're going to be talking about rocks ultimately this morning, right? And I want us to talk about the Christian faith. We're going to look at some details of the text. And Brian, good luck following me because I'm just like ditching this pretty much. Just FYI. So, it's a squirrel day, as Mike would say. So we're going to be talking about what it means to be a Christian, ultimately. And there's a difference between claiming to be a Christian, right, and being a Christian. Coming to church on Sunday morning from 10:30 to 11:30-ish. No laughter on that one. Versus 24/7. Right? There's a difference. What we do on Sunday morning in church with our pretty dresses and outfits and we get the kids all dolled up should reflect how we live our lives the rest of the week, right? But does it? What does Paul tell us? Paul tells us that even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Being a Christian involves this whole journey of faith, not just Sunday morning. And it starts with repentance and the decision to follow Jesus Christ. To sell all that we have. To surrender all that we have in order to follow Jesus. And it continues as we pay close attention to this Jesus who came riding into Jerusalem on a donkey. As we seek to follow more and more this Jesus, to be the true followers of this one Christ who came riding into Jerusalem long ago, went to the cross for you and for me, and then rose again in order that we might have life. Now and forever. It's a way of life being a Christian. So let's look at some of the details of this story for Palm Sunday. One of the things that stands out to me is what Jesus decided to ride in on, which was a donkey. Why in the world would Jesus intentionally ride into town on a donkey? A silly-looking donkey of all things. Don't you think that would be kind of embarrassing? I mean, Jesus' entire life and his ministry had to be leading up to this point. Jesus is entering Jerusalem, which for the Jews is the very place where heaven and earth meet. Right? It is a huge moment. The disciples are proclaiming Jesus to be the King of the Jews, which basically means the King of Jerusalem, the King of Israel, and ultimately the King of heaven and earth. And they're introducing him to the world. It's a big deal. It's a huge moment in history. And if you were Jesus, what would you decide to ride in on as you enter this city that sits at the center of Judaism? It houses the temple. It's the capital city and focal point of your nation's cultural identity. What would you decide to ride in on? As you're being introduced to hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people who are in Jerusalem for the Passover. What would you decide to ride in on as you're being declared the King and the Messiah? Wouldn't almost anybody be concerned with the people who are watching? Wouldn't you want to make the best impression possible? Wouldn't you get your hair done? Get it all permed up and colored? Get your nails done? Wear your best suit or dress? Get your eyebrows waxed? Right? And what would you use for transportation? Would you come in a tank? A royal stallion? Would you have a motorcade flanked with Secret Service agents? Think of the nerve it would take to come riding in on an animal that is primarily owned and used by poor people. Folks used donkeys for pumping water and milling grain. They were beasts of burden, not for ticker-tape parades. Right? They're not elegant or beautiful animals in any sense. They're not intimidating, nor are they impressive at all. It'd be kind of like the President of the United States deciding to drive himself or herself down Pennsylvania Avenue on Inauguration Day in an old, rusty 1973 Ford Pinto, or Plymouth Duster, or Chevy Chevette. Get it? I even have on my paper here, when I look down, or perhaps maybe even a little red tractor, but some of you all would call that high class. So I'm not going to say that. It's just not the way things are done. It's not impressive. It's not becoming of the office. It's not ego-boosting. It doesn't fit. And yet, it's exactly what Jesus did. The King of the world, God become flesh. And then again, Jesus didn't do things like we think he should have done them. He doesn't come in on a stallion. He doesn't do this stuff. He doesn't need to impress anyone. He doesn't believe in lording his power over on people. He doesn't believe, he doesn't need to put others below him in order to lift himself up. Let's keep going in that story. We're told that Jesus gave two of his disciples the task of getting the donkey. Okay? And he tells them to go get a young donkey or colt that has never been ridden. Okay? That means it's not broken in. Okay? And that means that when a person tries to ride it, what's going to happen? They're going to get bucked off. And probably kicked pretty good too, right? It's not going to work. But apparently, that didn't happen when Jesus got on that little colt. Maybe that's because somewhere in the recesses of that donkey's mind, that animal's DNA, somehow it knew that it belonged to Jesus. That Jesus had created it and everything else in the world, and even a non-broken-in donkey will not buck off the one who knit it together in its mother's womb. Maybe. I mean, Jesus is the master of everything, right? And as a matter of fact, that's what Jesus says to his disciples. And it's what the disciples repeat. Jesus says to the disciples, if someone asks, why are you untying the donkey? Just say, its master needs it. And lo and behold, we're told that as the disciples went to untie the donkey, its owner said to them, why are you untying the donkey, the colt? And they replied, its master needs it. And then they brought it to Jesus. All right. Think about it. If you were those owners of that colt, and someone came and just said, hey, I'm taking your horse because the master needs it, what are you going to do? You're going to call the cops, aren't you? You're going to call the police on them. You're going to go in and say, no, that's mine. You don't get to just like take my stuff, right? We don't hear any of that in the story. The master needs it. The master needs it, and that was it. They brought it to Jesus. Just like Jesus is the true owner of all things, Jesus was the master of that donkey. You know, it's very good that the earthly owners of that colt understood that. It would be a very hard concept for any of us to get or to grasp. God created all things. All things belong to God, even a donkey. And whatever we may have, whether it's money, whether it's children, whether it's cars, whether it's our pets, whether it's our health, whether it's land, even our very selves. These things ultimately belong to God. Everything we have, they belong to God and not us. And it's our job to hand them over over to their rightful owner, to the master, the true master, in order for him to do with them what he wills. Yesterday, I had the privilege and honor of being at Carolyn Drew's 90th birthday celebration. And as she hugged me, she said, "I got a sermon for you." Okay, I'm always game for sermons. And she said to me, "Everything that's here is rental property." And that's pretty much all she said. She expounded a little bit more, but that was pretty much it. We live on rental property. Everything we got is rental property. And as I thought about that, she's so true. Everything we have is rental property. We are the earthly owners and the caretakers on this earth of the stuff God has entrusted to us. But it ultimately belongs to the true master, and that ain't us. Right? Even our children. Baby Hudson back there does not belong to Tony. Baby Hudson belongs to God. And God entrusted that baby to Tony. Right? Olivia does not belong to me. She's entrusted to me. She belongs to God. And we celebrate that in baptism. The money you have in your wallet, think about it for just a second. What you got in your wallet right now? Dust. Some of you, it could be pretty empty. The 15th isn't until tomorrow. Some of you could be pretty full. You might like cash. Whatever is in there is not yours. It is entrusted to you by God. And it belongs to God. It is entrusted to you. If you want to follow up on that, read the parable of the talents in Matthew 25. And you'll see what it means to be entrusted with gifts from God. You see, it's a key part of what it means to be a Christian, isn't it? Have you handed your home, your job, your wallet, your car, your very self to Jesus Christ? Have you turned all that over to God? Have you surrendered all that you have, even your kids, to God? What does that look like? What does that look like? It's like that parable of the talents. How are you doing? How am I doing for the kingdom of God? Those things that God has entrusted to us to love and to care for and to nurture and to bring up. How are we doing with those things? How are you doing? In all reality, Jesus rode his own donkey into Jerusalem on that first Palm Sunday, didn't he? He rode his own donkey into Jerusalem. And the owner had just been taking care of it until it was time for it to be used by God. For God's will. For God's purposes. It's what we pray over our offering each Sunday. God, use this for your glory, for your will, for your purposes. And as Jesus rode that young pack animal into the crowded and busyness of Jerusalem that day, some 2,000 years ago, his whole throng of disciples began rejoicing. They praised God with loud voices. They were causing quite a scene. And so some of the Pharisees leaned over and said, "Hey, could you please tell your disciples to shut up? They're being too loud. This is not reverent. Scold your disciples. Tell them to stop." There was no stopping. There was no stopping. Instead, Jesus answered, "I tell you that if my disciples were silent, if these people were silent, surely the stones would shout out." Surely the stones would shout out. Now, ain't that something? You ever heard a stone sing? All of creation was paying attention that day. They were paying attention because the one who created it all had come to redeem the whole world. Rocks, stones, hills, trees, and especially the people. To redeem all of us from the power of sin and death and hell and decay. Jesus had come to declare that the curse would soon be lifted. And it would be lifted by the one and only one who could lift it. The sovereign God, the creator of all things. He would take all the sin, all the weight of the world's pain and misery and hell and death upon himself. And he would allow it to rip his mortal body to shreds on a cross. My friends, that's how evil is. That's how evil is. It rips everything to shreds. But that's how great God's love is. It allows itself to be torn in order to save that which was declared good. He would take all that on himself. Last week I had a conversation with one of our kids, and they said, one thing I don't understand about Good Friday, it's why I brought it up in children's time today for all of them to hear, is why it's called good. What's good about it? The day Jesus was killed on a cross should be called Bad Friday, they said. I told her it was Good Friday because it shows us how good God is. It's what gives us hope. It's what gives life meaning. It's what saves us and makes life worth living. The love of God is so much stronger than the most horrible of evils. It's so much greater than all of sin and death and decay combined, and even the devil himself. It can save even a wretch like me, and even a wretch like you. And that is very, very, very good. This is Holy Week. This is the week of the year, the 1 week out of the whole year where we spend time and focus on the last week of Jesus' life. And it began with Jesus riding into Jerusalem on a donkey. Funny looking little wonky donkey. And those who had witnessed it and or experienced Jesus' miracles and teachings were rejoicing, and they were praising God. And as they spread the clothes on the road, tens of thousands of pilgrims were watching that day, maybe even millions, and made the trek to Jerusalem for the celebration of the Passover. They looked on in wonder and amazement. The question I have for us today is, my friends, as we see Jesus enter Jerusalem and as we celebrate, and yes, we cry out today, Hosanna in the highest, blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna, yea God, right? Is that a song for the hour? Or is that a song for life? Are you playing church? Or are you being the church? Are you just claiming to be a Christian? Or are you a Christian? You see, my friends, that's what it comes down to, because these same people who gathered around Jesus that day he rode into Jerusalem were saying, yea, God. push came to shove, they wanted an easy fix. And it wasn't quite there, was it? And some of those very same people turned their story. And they began to say, crucify him. My friends, we've got to decide. Are you playing it? Are you pretending to be a Christian? Or are you really a Christian? Are you living it? What you do in this church building should be reflected in what you do at 10 o'clock any other night of the week. Or at 5 o'clock as you sit in rush hour traffic in Columbus. Right? Not that we have any rush hour traffic here. We might be slowed down from 25 to 20. That's it. What we do should be reflected in all of our lives. How we relate to our families and our kids. How we relate to our peers. How we relate to our co-workers. How we relate to all of those around us. Right? This hour should not just stand alone. Have you surrendered your whole life, everything you have, to God? And do you live it out the rest of the time? Because my friends, playing church won't get you anywhere. Life is about being the church. And God invites us on this journey. What are you doing today? What are you doing today? You see, my friends, some of the Pharisees tried to get Jesus to tell his disciples to shut up. And if they had, the very stones on the ground would have shouted, "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord." Rejoice, the Master has come to save us. So, my friends, if you're not willing to be the church, to be a Christian, not just claim to be, but to be a Christian, then I'm going to step outside and watch the stones start shouting. I'm going to watch the stones start singing. Because that's what's going to happen if we choose not to be the church, if we choose not to be Christian, if we keep pretending about our faith. My friends, never heard a stone shout? I bet it's pretty good. I don't know. But I really don't want to hear it. I want to hear us be the church. I want to see us be the Christians that God has called each of us to be. May it be so. May it be so. But if we don't, God's alternative plan is to say, well, all right, we're going to go out to the stones now. We don't want that. Let's be the church all the way through the week. All the way through. Amen.